So again, year 13, the purpose of this video is to take us through how we're going to set up a preview into Kinter that will connect with our database and display some of the data. So our final output should be something like this. The Kinter treeview displays allows us to display data from the database. So you can see this section is my treeview, it's connected to the database, and it's the three people from my student table. So let's begin to walking through the code to achieve that. In your tutorial, you should be able to see, and you will be able to see a step-by-step guide, but I do suggest that you read some of the background documentation. As most Kinter widgets, it can be complex and you often forget what arguments or parameters that can be passed to it. First of all, to begin with, it has to be imported explicitly because we're using a Kinter themed widget, which is from Kinter import TTK. Next, just some points that I've changed in my script before moving on. I've made my database accessible in the class by prefixing it itself. That means that my student fields when creating the database is now set.md. That will allow other methods to access that instance of my database. So we left it yesterday with our previous tutorial with simple widgets. Now we're on to our three view. So I'll put this into your tutorial. I'll briefly take us through it. The treeview widget is instantiated from the service theme widget, and it takes the window, which is obviously going to be itself because we want it on our current window, and then the columns have to be populated from an array, and mine's called student fields because that was returned. What's the name of my array that I collected the names of the tables and returned to it. Next, this gets messy, a vertical scroll bar. I created a vertical scroll bar. I put it, obviously set the orientation as vertical, and I've connected through. And then I've had to grid that. And I've gridded that in column 11. You might need to tweak that. It's pretty much guesswork at this time. I'll knock that down, experiment with it to see as my columns grow where I want it gridded. But at the moment, I've only got 2 or 3 entries, so the scroll bar not visible. So we'll get back to that throughout our project, and then we configure it, we'll just set it, and I grid the 3. And that's all there is to it. So when we run that, that gives us this, you can see a scroll bar that the column made that too narrow. Again, go back, that looks like another 2 columns out. I'll change that to 8, see how we get on. I should really compute this correctly rather than guesswork. Now it's neat, we're going to go back out to 10 or 11, but you can see the vertical scroll bar. It's something I can fix later. We'll not see it now because we'll not be scrolling. So that's the basic three view. Getting slightly more complex is creating the headings. I would like to do something a little bit more abstract, and I might get time to work on something. But I'm iterating through the names of my fields and I'm populating each in the heading. Note here, I've used string formatting. The reason for that is by default, the treeview widget will automatically assign an ID in the first column. And I don't want that because I've got an ID in the database. So I'm using string format to overwrite that. So I've just slightly tweaked it. You'll note in the example in the tutorial that I've ripped from the internet, they haven't. So they've got the treeview ID and then their own ID. I just wanted to get rid of that. So I've used this string formatting. And then in the iteration, I've gridded or set the width of the columns. I don't want these stretch. You could put that to 3 if you wanted people to be able to drag in and drag out the fields, and I set a minimum width. Again, you can experiment with that, and I probably will later as I add data to the 3. So we're back to this. Let's say here that what width these can be set, etc., etc. Now we're on to populating the 3. That means using our database class to connect to the database. When we connect to the database, we need to retrieve the data that we want and populate the 3. So I've created a method called populate3. I'll try and talk you through that. So this first part. The reason I've included this, although it's not necessary, it will make my method reusable. It's going to delete everything in that tree. So later on in the tutorial, if I do inserts or deletions and I repopulate the tree, it'll clear it, go to the database, etc., etc. So it's basically refreshing it. So the three classes got a method called delete, and into that I'm using the get children, which is going to get all the columns in the tree and pass it into the delete method, hence making it. There's a documentation coming up. Next, I have got my database method, so I've basically created an array called students, and I'm using the fetch all method to passing in the students table, so that will have all the records in the students table in here, returned in an array, and then I'm iterating through it and I'm inserting into the treeview. Some things to note here is that the insert method, beginning at 0, going to the end. Next, the text argument is actually their ID, their key field. So I'm passing in the 0 element from my array, which effectively is my primary key from the database. And then in the values, I'm passing in the other elements in my array. Because this students will be an array, and for each record of that array, I want them to pop in the primary key and in the values. And this, I have to manually code that because now it's got 5 records, not to 4. If you've got six attributes in the database, I'll have to go not to 5, etc., etc. There probably is, and some of you could find out or do it, do a neat tuple or list comprehension, set comprehension in here that would iteratively create these. It's maybe something to look at. Now again, we'll just make it a little bit more reusable. And then note that it closed the database. At the end of the last tutorial, I would have that up after my widgets. I've just cut and paste that to below. So again, finally, to see that in the output, we've got our treeview. We've got a vertical scroll bar down here at the side. It's gridded in one past my table. One past my treeview. Then we've used our database connection. We've selected all the attributes from the table and we've populated it in here. Just to show if I was to change the name of the table to, I call them biggies. One lot, we call it select all, might get an error. No, there's nothing in my Hades table, so it hasn't populated. But it's the idea that you can pass in the table and that will populate the treeview. In the tutorial, I've included all the code, but bear in mind that is bespoke to my database, and you will have to tweak some of the attributes to get that working in your database. In the next tutorial, we'll look at creating the buttons that will CRUD, create, retrieve, update, and delete from our database. You get the idea. Finally, when I click on Mike, his data will appear up here. I'll be able to edit it and then hit an insert button or an update button. Then I'll be able to hit a new record, fill this in, and hit add, and it'll go to treeview. I'll be able to click on this here, hit the delete button, and Mike will go, etc. So we'll add buttons either top or bottom that will do a create, retrieve, update, and delete. So good luck with this. Again, if you have any problems, post on the stream, and myself and someone in the class will try and get to it. Chat later.